Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We warmly welcome you to the Resource Group webinar for best practices for report distribution and sharing key metrics. The Resource Group is a Microsoft Dynamics GP Gold certified partner with 22 years as a professional practice, specifically focusing on Microsoft Dynamics GP and business intelligence. The reporting tools with business intelligence are an essential part of business management. Companies are always looking for new ways to analyze and generate meaningful, simple reports that have the ability to show more detail than needed. Microsoft Dynamics GP's platform includes many different applications and technologies that are used for extending meaningful information so it can be monitored, collaboratively used, and analyzed. It is important for your company to not only get the information, but also to modify reports when needed, and to gather complex information in a simple way. Today we'll be looking at some best practices for report distribution, sharing key metrics, and the practical application of these tools available that will be more impactful within your business. Our presenter today is Resource Group Solution Engineer Extraordinaire, Earl Hunt. Earl will walk through some of the key features, which will include the Financial Statement Deployment Options with Management Reporter 2012. We will look at the latest features released in Management Reporter 2012 for general ledger reporting that now provides the ability to schedule reports to generate on a regular basis. This feature helps life of an accountant. Instead of logging in every day, week, or month, you can now schedule your reports to generate automatically. Earl will also talk through the process and the options available for deploying reports for end users. We're also going to go into detail about standalone reports and KPI distribution methods. As we know, Microsoft Dynamics GP has a broad and deep tool set. Earl will walk through some of the best practices on the distribution and how to set up key performance metrics leveraging predictive modeling and analysis through Excel, where business users can build reports and query using pivot tables and drill back from Excel reports back to GP. We'll look at the analysis cubes that provide a quick way to present data and allow users to manipulate the reports and analyze using simple OLAP technology. We'll also look at the SQL Reporting Services report, a server-based reporting platform that you can use to create, manage tabular, matrix, graphical, and freeform reports that contain data from relational and multi-dimensional data sources. We'll talk about how the reports you create can be viewed by a web browser connection or through SharePoint sites. We'll also talk and touch upon the Business Analyzer, which is an add-on from Microsoft Dynamics GP 2012 to allow SRS, KPI, and graphical reports to be rendered, viewed, queried, even by non-GP users in a collaborative environment. This enhanced financial reporting collaborative capabilities offers the ability to react quickly to changes in your business. Lastly, Earl will cover reports and the KPI distributions using the SharePoint and Business Portal technology. So I warmly introduce you to Earl Hunt, who will lead the demonstration, and we will take all of your questions at the end of the session.
Thank you, Holly. As you mentioned, this is Earl Hunt with the Resource Group, and I'm going to be going through the demonstration today. I'm going to put everyone on mute right now and then take you off mute at the end of the presentation so we can field some questions.
The conference has been muted.
All right. Hopefully you can still hear me. All right. So just to as I was putting together this presentation, I thought I could put together this presentation with screenshots, or I could do everything with live code. And I decided to do it live code, which is a little bit more risky. And there are times that we're all going to wish that I wasn't running Windows Server, SQL Server, Exchange Server, and Internet Information Server on the same HP laptop. In other words, there may be some performance lags that you wouldn't necessarily have in your environment with the full servers. But you are going to see everything live code, and we can certainly field some questions at the end. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to talk about is financial report distribution, and I'm going to be doing that through Management Reporter 2012, which is the newest iteration of the Financial Reporter. that is really the follow-on product for FRX. And we're going to be taking a look at distribution of reports via network share shortcut. We're also going to take a look at distributing the reports to a SharePoint location, which is also publishing the report as a shortcut to a SharePoint library. And we're also, in the case where the employee has access to the site, and also in the situation where the employee has the ability to subscribe to the SharePoint site, where they would be alerted with emails whenever a new report appears on the SharePoint site, or if there are any changes to existing reports. And then finally, we're going to look at the ability to simply send a link to a report via email to anybody that you want to view the report. So I'm going to switch over to my demo environment. And the first thing that I want to show is going to be the ability to publish the shortcut of the report to a network file share. So I'm just going to go to Documents. I'm going to go to MLR Reports, and I see I've got a PL Sum Trend report here, and I'm simply going to double-click on that shortcut, and it's going to come up here and present the user with 3 different options for viewing that report. And so they can view the report through the traditional management report viewer, and I'm going to click on that here, and it's going to take them right into the viewer of Management Reporter. And there's still full security around who gets to see the report, who gets to see certain branches of the tree structure. So all of that is honored through the Management Reporter and the link through Active Directory. So we're pulling up the report now in the Management Reporter viewer. And we see we've got, this is the most robust way, of course, to look at the financial report. We've got the full drill down ability, as you might expect. I can click on a particular account here, and it lights up the Dynamics tab, which gives me the ability to, if I am a GP user, to drill back into GP to look at information specific to the March timeframe for the U.S. sales finished goods account. So that's one method that I can use to view reports. If I'm a viewer of financial reports, I can also view them in Microsoft Excel. So I simply click on the option for Microsoft Excel. I click Open at the bottom. It's going to run a security scan. Once it's done doing that, then I simply click Open, and it brings up the report in Excel. And we see that because we've got drill down to accounts, we've got an additional tab for that. We've got drill down to detail. We've got a tab for that as well. So we've been able to drill down to Excel. And then the other option is through XPS Viewer, which is very similar to viewing in PDF. It's a very elegant looking view. I'm not going to go into that, but that's another option as well. And then the user can personalize this, so they can click, if they don't want to see all the options in the future, they can select this, and then the next option they choose is the only option that they're going to see in the future. Okay. So let's move on then to the ability to view and publish those reports to SQL Server. And so we're going to pull up SQL Server. And I've got a section here for Management Reporter Reports. And you see that I've got some shared documents, and it's published both the balance sheet and the P&L summary role. And I'm going to click on the P&L summary role for the quarter. And again, I get the same view, and I won't go through that again, but I have the option within Management Reporter Designer to either publish the reports to a network file share or to publish that to SharePoint as a link. And then as I get back here to this shared library, the other option that I wanted to show you on a best practice to publish financial reports is the ability for people to come in to the shared library and they can set alerts. So they can set an alert here that says every time a document is added to this library or changed in this library, I want it to send me an email. And let's go take a look at that on the email side. So again, I'll pull up Outlook. And this is the email that the employee would receive once either a document has changed, a financial report has changed under the same name, or a new one has been added when they subscribe to the Shared Documents library. And then they can simply go here, follow the link, and I'm going to essentially then get the same screen that I have received previously where they can then drill down to the actual report. The other option is to simply, from within the report viewer, send a link, an email link to whoever you need to send it to, and then again, it brings up the same matrix of those three choices. Okay, so we're going to move on now to We're going to move on to the next topic, which is report and KPI distribution, standalone options where you don't need to deploy SharePoint server. And so first of all, we're going to take a look at Excel reports. And for those of you that may not be familiar with Excel reports, the concept there is you're working with a familiar product that you use every day, which is Microsoft Excel. And Microsoft Excel is used to basically produce information that is coming directly from Dynamics GP, but it's refreshable against the database. So it's not a standalone spreadsheet that needs to be constantly exported to. We're going to take a look at a couple examples of Excel reports. And the first one we want to take a look at is this payables, transactions, invoices by vendor. And the concept here is that if you're dealing with people that are not GP users, you simply give them the ability to have that spreadsheet on their desktop, and as long as they've got connectivity back to the GP database through your network, then they're going to be able to open this Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to refresh itself against the most current data in your GP database. So here we see a listing of transactions, invoices by vendor. You could take this information, it comes over in a tabular format where you can do some sorting and selection by date. You could take this information and design pivot tables and charts and graphs from it. So the user can then take this Excel spreadsheet and personalize that for their use. Every time they open the spreadsheet, it's going to refresh with the current information, refresh any pivot tables and charts and graphs that they've created as well. I'm going to delete that right now. All right. The second instance of an Excel spreadsheet that I wanted to show you is just a simple customer address spreadsheet. And again, this is refreshing against the GP database. And this one also has a feature of drill back to GP. So where you see the blue column here, it says drill back to GP, I can click on that. And if I do have access to Dynamics GP, then it's going to drill back into GP, open up the customer maintenance window, and from there, if you're using our RG performance pack, and you could get to summary information for the customer, you could get to transaction and inquiry detail, open sales orders, any information that you can get from that customer maintenance screen. And we can see a pretty dynamic example if we were to go into Aaron Fitz and change the address here to Seattle, for example. Gosh, I hope this works. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go into Data. I'm going to refresh, and I see that the city's changed to Seattle. So you can see the dynamic nature of the spreadsheet. It updates against the information in Dynamics GP. Okay. The next item that I wanted to show to you is Power Pivot dashboards. And so Power Pivot is really a free add-on that is available to add into your Microsoft Excel environment. And so it has the ability to go beyond the limitations of the number of rows of an Excel spreadsheet and really kind of acts as kind of a mini database, if you will, that augments the information that you see in Microsoft Excel. And so this dashboard here was created by the underlying data from several different tables within Microsoft GP. And you can see here that I'm using the concept of some slicers where I can take information and I can say, well, show me just Canada. It'll go and refresh against the information that it's pulled into its database within Power Pivot and come back with that information. So now I'm just looking at the information for Canada. Go back to USA. I can just say I would just want to look at the information for the year 2017. So everything is updating dynamically. I can look at several different years together, 2017, 18, and 16. And then the information dynamically refreshes. You see that this particular chart here refreshed and has a legend that includes years 2016, 17, and 18. So that's another great presentation method, pretty simple to set up. As I mentioned, a free add-in for Microsoft Excel called Power Pivot. You just search that on the internet and download that and add it into your Excel software package. The next presentation reporting tool that I wanted to show is analysis cubes. And analysis cubes, and we'll take a look at the one here, sales by customer and item. Analysis cubes is really a separate database of information that's been pulled out of Dynamics GP on a periodic basis that's optimized for really slicing and dicing and analyzing information in a very fast way. And so when I go into click on one of these fields here, I've designed this to be sales by customer and item, and so it's got lots of ways to really consolidate the information, the ability to click on the little plus sign here and get additional detail. You see the plus signs at the top as well on the date, so I've got this summarized by year, but I can easily go down and take a look at this information by quarter, by month, as detailed as you need it to be. I'm waiting for this to refresh here. And so now I've got under attractive cordless phones, I've got the detail of the actual items. If I want to go over to 2017 and click on the date, now I see by quarter, and I could even go further than month if I wanted to. And this is really all operating off of a pivot table that I've designed, and I can take a look at the field list here. And it's really just a drag and drop. And so I've got items by class here. If I wanted to add, for example, customer names, I would just drag that down here, and then my whole look and feel has changed. I've got these categorized by Aaron Fitz, Adam Park, and underneath that I've got what they purchased. So very flexible tool. You would simply refresh your cube against your GP database on probably at night on a regular basis, probably every day, and be able to get this information and provide that to your non-GP users as well. The next one I want to show you is taking advantage of SQL reporting services. And SQL reporting services is a reporting tool that comes with SQL Server, and There are lots of reports that have been pre-designed that come with Dynamics GP that you can already take advantage of. And for a GP user, you'll see those inside of Dynamics GP in each of the major areas of functionality under SRS reports. But because they are basically web shortcuts, in other words, it's using a web server and a web presentation, you can simply provide your non-GP users with the shortcuts, and then they've got access to those SQL reports as well. So we'll take a look at a couple of those. I'm going to look at year-to-date customer sales by state, which is a graphical representation of what we sold by geography. It'll take just a second for that to come up here the first time. All right, and there it is. So this is in the form of a map, and so we've got really color coding that gives us the representation of the range of sales that we have by each state. As we know, we've got Aaron Fitz, who is in the state of Washington. I think I'd probably change that. And so we've got the ability to drill down. So we can drill down to the actual numbers. We can then go back here and take a look at one of the states that has a lot of activity and see what the customer list looks like. We can see that these are also hyperlinked, and so if I were to click on the customer number, it would take me back into the customer maintenance card for GP or the salesperson card in GP if I've got access to GP. If not, then I'm not able to do that. One of the other SQL reports that I wanted to show you is receivables aging detail. So this is an example of a fairly detailed report. It's more tabular than graphical. And also show you, when this loads up, the ability to, so here's the detailed information. So we see the little plus signs. When we expand that, then we see the detail underneath that particular transaction. So we can put a lot of detail on the reports, a lot of drill backs. You can see that all these document numbers are hyperlinked, and so if I were to click on that, again, if I've got access to GP, then I get right into the view of that document in GP. Also, under the actions, there's several things that I can do. I can export this document into XML, PDF, Excel, but I can also subscribe. So people can, as they can with the financial reports, they can subscribe to a particular SRS report, which means that every time that, and they can subscribe based on a schedule, which means that if they've got a particular report, let's say it's a sales type report, that they want to see every Monday morning at 8 a.m., then they would just simply come in here. They would configure this to send the report, run the report, and send the report, and have it sent to them at 8 a.m. every Monday of every week. So another great way to get information out to people and push it out to people on a regular basis with really no effort by the accounting or the IT staff. And the last reporting mechanism that I wanted to show that is completely standalone, again, no reason to implement SharePoint, is the Business Analyzer. And the Business Analyzer is really a presentation tool that is very simple to install. Again, a great tool for people that are not GP users but can certainly leverage the information in GP to make decisions. And we see here that same map that we saw earlier. So it's really presenting any number of these SRS reports, KPIs, and graphics And so it's completely configurable by user as to what they want to see on a regular basis. And as we scroll through this, we see that an example of a top 5 customers. We see some graphs and charts. And then we see this concept of KPIs. And so this is one that is focusing on accounts receivable days outstanding. We've got the ability to view the report, and it's simply taking us then to the report server for SQL reporting services and giving us the ability to see the report full screen. And then once the report comes up on the screen, then we can drill down into the detail behind the particular metric. We'll get this loaded up here and drill down and take a look at the underlying detail. All right, so we've got the accounts receivable days outstanding, and so this hyperlinked here, this change is hyperlinked. Once we click on that, it's going to take us to some additional detail. And the detail really can be configured to be whatever you want it to be. In this case, the detail, I believe, is an additional chart. And so now we've got the accounts receivable days outstanding for the current period in blue, the previous period in red, and we can then click and go further down and see what the actual numbers are that make that key metric. All right, so we see that's made of accounts receivable, sales returns. We can drill down to the actual figures if we want to analyze that further. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the items, the reporting mechanisms where it would require the implementation of SharePoint. And we're going to go through and take a look at the concept in SharePoint of a report library. So instead of having people have shortcuts to different reports on their desktop, they would go and log into SharePoint, and they would go to the section here for GP reports. And so when we look at the GP reports, we see the SRS reports are all in one place. And I've got several different companies here that I'm working with. In Fabricam, the traditional test company in GP is of course, the 2 database, and so I just drill down into 2, and I see the SQL reports are organized by functional area. So if I go down to the inventory section, for example, and I look at the sales summary, then that's going to bring up a SQL services report for me that I can interact with. I'm going to select all item numbers. I'm going to select just the warehouse location. And I'm going to sort by item and go ahead and apply. So as you can see, some of these SQL reports, rather than just sort of running, some of them can also have a number of parameters that you can use to filter the information that you want to see. Yes? And now I'll expand this report. And this report is giving me a wealth of information by product, by month and year, the quantities and the sales and the cost of sales for each of those different products and periods. So I could certainly search through this report. Again, the same actions are available to export it to PDF or Excel, so on and so forth. All right, I have the same information in SharePoint and the report section for all of the all of the Excel reports as well. So a great way to organize that information. I can go into the sales section here. I can go into customer balances, for example, and just simply click on that, and that's going to open up Excel and open up that refreshable spreadsheet, and we manage that inside of SharePoint in the reports library. All right, there we go. So from here, just using standard Excel, I can sort that largest to smallest. I could do some graphs and so forth. I could save that back as my particular version of that, or I could save that to my desktop from here. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show is Business Portal. And so Business Portal are really pre-designed web parts that are sitting on top of SharePoint. They're SharePoint web parts that are leveraging the information in Dynamics GP. And so there's a lot of this that's already built for you out of the box. And so the concept here with SharePoint is that there are predefined role pages, and I'm logged in as a system administrator, so I'm seeing everything. So if I was just simply logged in as a purchasing person that dealt with vendors and accounts payable, then I would only have access to purchasing, the employee page where I can see information on my paychecks and so forth if I'm using GP payroll. But I'm going to focus in today on the executive section, which would be more appropriate for the executives in your organization that may not be GP users, but they want to see this information that's coming out of GP on a real-time basis, whether it be charts and graphs or KPIs, things that are meaningful in their day-to-day decision-making for the company. So we see here this top-level executive page has got a sales graph. It's got the top 5 customers by year-to-date sales, which we've seen before. We saw that in the Business Analyzer. I can go down here to the company overview dashboard, and that's going to give me a good look at several different KPIs that this company has set up. And again, all of this information that you're seeing here in terms of charts and graphs and KPIs are all designed in SQL reporting services. A lot of them come out of the box. Others can certainly be modified, or you can completely create new charts and graphs and KPIs as well. So here we see a whole matrix of KPIs, and on the top here, gross profit margin, cash position, receivables turnover, quick ratio. We can then drill down on the quick ratio. That's going to bring us into additional detail. And that brings us into, again, a graphic, and then we can drill down and get the underlying information on the exact accounts and the dollar amounts that were used to compute that ratio. In this case, we see it was the cash accounts and accounts receivable, and in our current liabilities, accounts payable, current liabilities, and so forth. We also have additional roles, as I mentioned. So if somebody comes in here and they're in a sales role, then they're going to have their particular page that they look at that's going to have information specific to the sales environment. They've got a graphic here, a chart on net sales versus cost of sales for the past 12 months. They've got sales year-to-date detail. And then we see along the left-hand side, we also leverage the ability to look at a lot of information in the form of customer lists and lists of documents and commissions by salesperson, so on and so forth. And again, that's leveraging the information in your GP system on a real-time basis. So that's all I have to present in terms of a demo.